Martyna, uh,
I
where are you now? It's a beautiful view behind you.
I'm now in my very birth town, the town where I was born. It's called Zadar. It's in the middle of the Dalmatian coast, and the Dalmatian coast is part of Croatia. It's now called Croatia. It used to be part of Yugoslavia. And we are now on the rooftop of the building where I live. And it's like a, urban Mediterranean Yugoslavian socialist, building.
As far as I know, you call it Zadar, the Bronx of Zadar.
Yes, it is the Bronx of Zadar. We have here, wait, I will show you a bit around. On this side, we have the sea. On the other, we have the mountain, Velebit, where Winnetou was shot. Oh my God, I'm doing touristic. And here on the floor, I don't know if you can see, we have like, a little urbanistic playground for teenagers and, people together. It's the Bronx.
Imagining a Croatian Bronx is something very surreal.
It is very surreal, and it is also a very funny thing because when you talk about Bronx, you think about African American population, which is normally not considered to be far right, and as far Croatia nowadays is far right, and also especially the Bronx here. When I arrived here, when I moved here, it was full of fascistic signs and graffitis. But, time passed, 5 years, and something happened, which were, I was also included. So these signs a little bit disappeared.
Like, how was it for you to experience this big return to the place where you were born? Once you found yourself in Zadar, what were your decisions? What were your feelings? And did it change through these 5 years?
I don't know what was more traumatic. Growing up to be replaced or experiencing remigration, to be honest. My first impression or my first year was that very, very nice because I met people who were in a way as open as I am, and I saw like, okay, there is still some leftists here, some engaged people, they are just being silenced. So what I did was I made a clear decision that I will engage myself politically through art, and also use my connections from German-speaking area in Bosnia to also help to bind with leftists here, or change-willing people and artists to make some move. So it happened that I was leading a theater festival, a summer theater festival here in Zadar, which was like still is the most progressive thing to happen on the Dalmatian coast. And it's a wonder how they survived. So I started to really dig in. I changed the program of the theater festival from like the art for art on the nice urban places, and I tried to bring art to the Bronx and other places where I thought like, hey, here is some culture missing to educate people. And what I found out that like in places, people like here in the Bronx, they welcomed me with open arms and were lucky to have somebody who wants to open these spaces for culture and to bring culture for their children to experience. And they understood many things. And now in the beginning, I was a bit afraid, but now like I'm very famous at this block now. Like my neighbors really like me, and they are thankful for what I did here, these manifestations. But what was so traumatic was like the uh, systematic how you call this, deconstruction or destroying, the systematic destroying of open culture through institutions.
Mm.
And like I was very much included in administration also of the theater festival. As you know, as there is no money, I had to do everything by myself. So I had to go to officials and see how corrupt everything was, and how they tell you in your face that it is better if you go and steal. You have to steal in a nicer way, and then they will accept you, you know. Like they literally told me like, hey, if you steal, if you do it in a corrupt way, you are our girl. But if you do it the way you do it, forget about it. And that was, and they made everything to just, you know, boycott the festival. And you know, in the end, it's not about the festival, it's just about, you know, giving people the respect of having the right for culture.
You said that you were a little bit, let's say, disappointed with the practices of officials, city council, and so on. But did you get any support from, I don't know, other organizations from Zadar, or maybe from other places from Croatia? I mean, you know, independent alliances, independent art spaces, activists, and so on. Did you work as some sort of group, or were you just all alone fighting with the materiality of the city?
The prop I was very alone. I mean, I had help, but honestly, it was help from my friends from Germany, Austria, and Bosnia, and Poland. um, I felt pretty alone and left aside by Croatian art scene. But I also have to say that I today understand them, because we have the problem that a Croatian state is sanctionizing art money so much that it is not even possible to make a living out of it. So the amount of money which goes to culture is so tiny. And then also you probably have the very same situation, what they describe as cultural fund, like 80% of it goes to folkloric groups or church. So this is the problem. And what is happening because of this, that we have brain drain. Brain drain is like when people from a country move away from the country, mostly to the western part of Europe, because there is no opportunities for them. Like the brains are draining away to the Western world. So, you know, the amount of people who are still here is so tiny, and I totally understand them, that they get frustrated and they get this elbow mentality, you know?
I see. So you said you felt alone, but how did you achieve this, that your Bronx people went on your side? How was it then, not with artists, but with like receivers of your struggles?
It was, for me, it was super easy, because also in Austria, I grew up in a kind of Bronx. So working class is something very familiar to me. Although my parents are academics, in Austria, they are of course not academics, they are downgraded to working class. So I know how to communicate with these people, because I feel like I'm a part of them. So what I did is I wanted to do a manifestation here in the Bronx with a very famous, nice, gentle leftist rapper. And the town hall forbid it to me because they said, you know, they somehow boycotted. So what I did was I first spoke to the children and was very honest with them. And I told the children on the playground there that I want to do this manifestation and do hip hop courses and, you know, invite this rapper. But that I have the problem that the government, the town administration doesn't allow me. So I'm here all alone and the adults, they don't want to help me. So I'm talking to the children and I want them to talk with their parents so they have a talk with me. And the children, they just did it. They told their parents, hey, there's this girl and she wants to do this, but they don't allow her. Please talk to her. So I arranged the first meeting in my Bronx, in this complex, you know, you see, where all these people live. So I bought a bottle of wine and started to talk with them. And they first tried, they were like super happy that for the first time after the war, somebody invited the neighbors to gather like a community and to talk. So we did this and they were totally for the idea and they were trying to figure out a way to. And at the end, when they saw like how fucked up the situation was, they said, you know what, please girl, just do it. We are gonna stand on your side. And so we did it. And the whole neighborhood, actually it was a real neighborhood experience. The whole neighborhood came down to help organize like food and beverage and everything.
And was it a beginning of something, or was it just one situation that worked out? It's also a wider question. Do you want to continue your cultural work in Zadar, or after all these experiences, are you more thinking about leaving this idea?
After this manifestation, also, you know, when you are good with the people, institutions start to hate you more because you kind of get a voice which is like dangerous for their, you know, little corrupted state. I mean, it's not in a such big scale, but, you know, in my Cosmos community scale, this little town, you know, so they even boycotted me more and more, and it was getting more hard and hard. So also my financial situation got very, very bad. Also, I was not able anymore to go and earn my money in Germany because it took so much time and effort. So what happened actually is I was forced to give up because there was no, you know, my economical situation was miserable. I did not have any Kraft, any force. I was, you know, I was exhausted. So I had to go and save my ass back to fucking Austria to improve my financial situation and, you know, to try to do my best. So I do not, in a way, I was forced to leave. I was not threatened physically, although there were people like, you know, there are some hooligans who know who I am and they like walk in front of me. But, you know, these are little dogs who bark. I'm not really afraid of those kind of people. But they, you know, they managed to stop me in a different way. So yes, I went back to Austria. Now I'm coming back always for summer. This festival is still alive, and whenever I'm there, I'm gonna try to help a bit. You know, like without any finance, like without any fee, like just voluntary help a bit around. And that's it. But for now, I say, because it's not an idea of, you know, giving up. It is just, I didn't find any way anymore. And there's also something which I want to mention. I also tried to find a way to make cooperations with German institutions or foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience of this one project, for instance, was not a very good one. And also then I was invited to a meeting of these corporations from this foundation. And this foundation cooperated with East Europe and North Africa. And we, the artists or cultural workers from East Europe and North Africa, we were invited to make a meeting in Germany. And all the other artists had a bit a similar experience, and we really like found the same words which were describing that corporations like this are not really on one level. It is in the end always like Germany, the big state, sending artists to an exotic place, German artists earning money and getting exotic stories and going back. And not really a thing is staying here. So what happens is they earn money, they get our stories, and they go. So for me, this is not really a cooperation situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a partner level.
Mm. How would you imagine like a situation on equal level? How would you, if you was in charge of foundation that has this opportunities, or if you could gather people thinking in similar way, what would you do? What would be your idea as a, you know, artistic director or an artist?
You know, it's tricky because I cannot only answer as an artist. In a way, the rules of these corporations, when you read them, they are very equally written down. But the problem is that the economical situation is not equal. Like, in order to take part in a corporation, you have to, as me, as like Croatia, I have to bring this such amount of money to get this such amount of money, like for the project, which is not in the end even coming to Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a circle which doesn't end.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of this economical situation. And when you ask me for like an idea of a solution, I would say there must happen a remigration of Western Europe companies and concerns and CEOs which are exploiting Croatian land and Croatian people. And I want them to go back in order to have a chance for Croatia to grow a healthy economy and a, you know, sustainable way of living.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bigger question. It has to do with post-colonial situation.
You are someone who combines acting education with other disciplines to produce, curate, and perform resistance in the context of cultural work, acting.
Mm-hmm.
Actors keep their political statements and opinions and so on not very open. It's not the activist sphere. And maybe some of them promote some things through their popularity or whatever, but basically it's, we don't somehow associate actors as people who fight. Actress as an activist is a very rare thing. Do you think the same, or do you have a lot of support or similar ways of thinking from your acting friends? And I mean here not only from Germany, Austria, but all over the world. You know, how do you feel it?
As soon as people are privileged in a privileged situation, their need with art is to promote themselves. But as soon as you experienced something underneath privilege, struggle in whatever way, being LGBTQ, being immigrant, being, you know, whatever religious group somewhere, a minority, you experience struggle and you understand that art is the best fighter in this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I started acting when I was 6. And in the first years, it was, you know, like, you know, doing fairy tales and blah, blah, blah. But very soon I experienced that I'm also being exotized and excluded among actors. So somehow it was already in my acting and in my, you know, being an artist or in this discipline, I had to fight. And as I'm educated as a person who doesn't go and beat somebody immediately, I'm trying to find other ways to fight and to prove that me and people similar to me are nothing to be afraid of or excluded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, my anger about actors who are just actors is growing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they do not understand that the world is in struggle, like not in struggle like usual struggle, like we are in huge struggle. And these actors are still like circling around themselves. So for me, in times of fascism, when people do not act against it, they are part of it. And I know it's education and experiences, but it's also always a choice to look away from yourself and to see other people and other struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And recognize your own privilege.
It must have been a very big decision for you, as you know, actress in the beginning of her career, after very good school, being in an ensemble, you know, so actually very privileged, let's say. Many actors would love to be in this position, and that you decided yourself for something else. Uh, do you think that you lost something, or after all these years, because it's already almost 7 years when you made this, oh, more than 7 years, 8 years when you made this decision, uh,
Mm.
what do you think? Was it good? Was it bad? Are you still somewhere in between? How do you position yourself in all of this?
I don't want to miss any second of it, and I love my life. I don't want to have this, oh, she's angry, she's frustrated, because that's also something what they say about activists, especially like female activists. You know, I'm not frustrated, I'm just fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also fun fighting the way I'm fighting, because I have the luck that I have people who are thinking the way I am thinking, and I can connect with them and coexist and co-work. And when you said privileged, like to choose such a different way, like not only depending on being an actress, yes, it is privileged, you are right, but it came out of a situation which was not privileged, and it was my parents, observing my parents growing up, because they were professors in Yugoslavia, and when they arrived to Austria, my mom was a cleaning woman, and my dad is still working in a fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And still, they never lost their dignity. And growing up and seeing that my parents can come down from being a professor and intellectual and academic and being a cleaning woman and still going to theater, and through this learning German, I'm like, fuck, if they can do it, and losing a state and having to go away, like I cannot lose anything. If I'm not an actress, and I still do it sometimes, when I'm not an actress and I don't have money like from acting, I work as a waitress or I go clean. I don't fucking give a fuck because I'm always cool for myself.
But would you today, for instance, play a role in a, like, I don't know, German TV series of a Balkan cleaning lady?
No. I'd rather go really cleaning. I'd rather go really cleaning because it's much more fun. There is nobody, there is no boss. You can turn on the music and you get 10 euro per hour. When I go and work one day on a movie as a cleaning woman, I'm being degraded as somebody who can do only this. Also, I'm experiencing racism on the very set. And also, even the financial situation. They pay me kind of like, it sounds much more money. But when they put away the taxes and the assurance, I have the same amount as when I really go cleaning. Also, I see an obligation as an educated actress. I don't want to continue make these stereotypes of Yugoslavian people or people from East Europe being shown on the television only as, you know, barbars, war victims, or cleaning people or prostitutes. I want to tell my story my own.
Going back to Croatia, do you see any potential? Because I believe when you are back in Croatia, you want to do things there as well. You know this, and do you see any perspectives? Like, is there? Because I understand that in small towns, in middle cities at the coast, maybe it's harder. But still, Croatia and the countries around, but Croatia as such, Zagreb, Rijeka, and so on, they are still very, very, let's say, vivid spots of European progressive art scene. Do you see yourself somehow cooperating with them? Do you feel part of them? How is it?
I think for me, as I was connected in this area through being born here, and I somehow felt that I have to duty to do it here because Zadar, my hometown, is like very, very far right, and there is like, it's really a hard case. So I felt like everybody is escaping from this town. I have to do it here. And Rijeka, Zagreb, there is some very good and vivid individuals and also organizations. But on the other side, there is also the moment of hipsterism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you call it. Like, it's also getting like an art for an art scene,
Mm-hmm.
And not really like trying to reach people. But I understand those people who do it because it's the only way to somehow make money with art.
Make money and maybe also make a change still, because even things that, yeah.
Yes, I understand. Everybody is trying to find a solution, and I am like putting making chapeau to all the people who are still in Croatia and still doing art.
I was asking this question because I also want to, there are so many layers of your way, let's say, of your different stadiums of your development as an artist and as a cultural worker and as a person, active person in reality. And I just want to understand, because you still live somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to understand, is there a place where you feel more like, oh, I'm more here than there? I'm more connected to here than there. I more see, I don't know, my future projects here than there. Or maybe I feel safer here than there. Or how does it work for you?
Before I went to Austria, when I was living here, I felt in the terms of I want to work here I really wanted to work here, and I felt not safer here, but in a way more understood, and I didn't have to explain myself so much. I didn't feel exotized. But I saw it as a, how you call it, as a goal or as a task that I have to do it. I felt obligatory to kind of do cultural education here. But now when I moved back to Austria, I again felt something also connected to the coronavirus and everything what's happening right now in the world. I see myself in a way, I really do see myself everywhere. And also my life is not plannable really, which very much copes with the situation of coronavirus. So I'm like, I'm fine with it. I don't know what to do tomorrow, so I'm fine with it. I know this. I feel connected more and more internationally. Like it could be that I was a bit in this Balkan area, in a Balkan bubble, but now I'm back on the track of cooperating with people all over the world. And when I think about my future work goals, I'm more and more thinking about, again, a Yugoslavian thing, but it is connected to Yugoslavian history, the non-alignment movement, which was like a movement from, it was founded between Yugoslavia, India, and Egypt, and Ghana. And it was a movement during the Cold War, which did not position themselves between West and East. And their main goal was anti-colonialization.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask me what my, where I belong, politically and in artistic field, I feel like I belong in this kind of space. And also when you say, where do you feel safe? I always feel safe in the Bronx. Like in every Bronx, I feel safe, to be honest. I grew up with such images and with such people, and you are not afraid of people who you know from growing up.
Yeah, because when we also had an episode when we used to live together, and you are actually a person that showed me how to live with the people. Because for me, I mean, I always considered myself like as a person that needs people and spend a lot of time with people. What I experienced with you was a like completely different understanding of family, or like just close relationships, that home is open for the people who are close to me, and that's it.
Yes, it's also, I see it here, like neighbors, they don't have the they don't have the habit to knock on your door or call you and ask like if they can pass by. They just come in and hang around. Like you don't invite them, they come and they stay. Then you cook and then you wash dishes, but they help you, or they don't go away, or they go away. It's like, it's also very queer. I must say that I understood this, like that family is community, basically. No, and then it's also very anti-capitalist, because capitalism, like for capitalism, family is a perfect thing. So because you just share money or goods with your blood, like just a few families have so much and the rest has nothing. My mom, at one point, my mom got divorced and she was like alone and going much to work. And as she's a person anyway who doesn't like to cook, and like she's more with books and her brain, but I never felt that I didn't have this, feeling of a child not having like, mother cooking, because there was always neighbors. If it was my Yugoslavian neighbors in the suburb of the Austrian town, or if it was my Dominican neighbors, you know, from the Dominican Republic. So I grew up on a lot of different dishes, and I call them like, yeah, this is home for me. And to be honest, I consider myself so privileged because of having all these different cultural experiences. Like not only Yugoslavian, also, you know, from the Dominican Republic, from Ghana, Turkish people, Iranian people, they were all in this Bronx. And as everybody had struggles, people knew like, we have to help each other. So like, yeah, let's put one child to this flat while we are arranging, while we are painting the walls in this flat, you know. It's how you arrange. Somehow it's a funny mixture, which it looks like chaos, but it is fluidly organized.
You were working with Pinar Karabuluk in Zurich Theater, Theater Neumarkt, on a project Lifestyle Theater. I would like you to tell me a little bit about this project, and also about the format that you created with Pinar, which is called Khan Academy.
The Khan Academy was a format where we did like a gathering. It was kind of like a talk show, but not like an official talk show where we invite guests and have interviews. We were like more chatting with friends. But the friends we chose were, we chose them on being the others. So to explain what the others means is also combined with the title. Kanak. So the talk show was called Khan Academy. Kanak in German language is a degrading and awful word to describe Turkish people, Muslim people, Balkan people, black people have even more ugly word. But, you know, all this, what is not considered purely German. So we were being called like this the whole time. And it is a very excluding process.
Excuse me, Polish people are also Kanaks?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
Yes, they are. Not on the first, because like, to me, nobody says Kanak when they see me. But as soon as they read my name, I am a Kanak.
Okay, I see. Mm-hmm.
I mean, first it was meant for Turkish people, but the reason for it is just that they are the biggest minority. So the notion about Kanaks, it's barbaric, primitive. In high culture, we are exotic, angry, or whatever. So what we wanted to do is to give a platform to Kanaks and actually do the same thing what African American people did with their swear word. So you know that it is they don't allow white people to call them the N-bomb, but they call themselves proudly the N-bomb themselves. So kind of here we can learn from Black community, like they took this discriminating word and owned it. And I think this is a good way to deal with such a discrimination. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why we said, okay, and also it's a contradictory because a Kanak cannot have an academy, you know? So we made it a term for this talk show. And we wanted to gather people, including you, and many other people with similar experience, mm-hmm. to give them a platform and to have, you know, to exchange thoughts. In this project, which we named Lifestyle Theater, Pinar Karabulut and she's a director with Turkish origins. No, not only origins, with a Turkish passport. working in high culture in Germany. Like, she's one woman who succeeded to have like to be a very very important and yeah, very important figure in the theater scene in German, which is like sensational.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we developed these two alter egos, which are two mice from a cartoon. I don't know if you know Pinky and Brain.
Mm. Yeah.
So what Pinky and Brain do every night, they want to conquer the world and gain the power. And this is somehow what we wanted to do with the German-speaking high culture. So you have to imagine that we have this directress with Turkish origins and me with this fluid identity, but not German. And we wanted somehow to threaten high culture. So literally we were developing clips for Instagram where we explain to German cultural institutions that we, little Pinky and Brain, we are gonna soon take over the high culture, and a pure white cis German guy, your time is over. Of course, we chose the satiric way because we all know humor is a good thing to receive bad news. So yeah, in a way, in a funny way, we announced that the time for high culture institutions, as far as we know them today, that they are soon gonna die because they cannot longer exist, because they're also, to be honest, the audience is dying away, you know, in German high culture theater.
Yeah, but you were doing it in Switzerland.
Yes. We were doing it in Switzerland because a very beautiful thing there happened. It is a progressive theater, which has the situation that they have 3 directresses. So normally theaters, I guess in Poland it's the same, are led by guys 60 plus.
Sometimes vice directors are a little bit younger.
In Germany, German speaking area, it is the same. We have like 2 women on the front, but that's it. And in Zurich, it happened that they invited 3 girls to lead this theater. And this is something beautiful. What happens when 3 girls are leading a theater? They are bringing together 1 actress and 1 director to create something together on one level, which is also a format which is not known yet, to be honest, because normally we also have always the thing that there is 1 director which is leading, and the actors are figures which are like you know, installed in his ideas. But
Yep.
here we have 1 director and 1 actor who were working together on one level equally. We call it lifestyle theater, also like to twist it and to queer it, because lifestyle is something normally, you know, everybody thinks about lifestyle with, you know, drinking smoothies and making pictures for Instagram. But we were also trying to show our real situation as a lifestyle, because my lifestyle is that I have, you know, a migrant story and a story of people who were being declassed, and, you know, all these struggles are part of lifestyle too.
What home is for you?
For me, home is everything what is connected to people, their spirit, and nature. And it can be fucking everywhere on this world. Like, I feel home wherever I am. I feel home because there is always, if there's no people, there is something what reminds me of those people. Or there is, you know, it's everywhere, because also I look up to the sun and I feel home. There is the moon and I feel home. Like, it's everywhere.